Hey everyone, my name is Garrett Mazade. I am an English and Avid teacher at Elgin High School in Elgin, Illinois. Here is my hashtag educator encouragement video. Thanks to Dave Stewart for doing this. I think this is a wonderful way to stay connected and spread some love and positivity in, through teachers and other educators. I think this is important. So when I think about my initial difficulty with teaching in this way virtually, I think the one thing that really comes to mind is this, the black abyss. Like you're speaking in front of 30 or some people. There might be people behind those black screens. I don't know. And I can honestly say those first few days in the Zoom meetings were quite awkward, and sometimes probably tough to get through. But I think for me, the toughest part isn't just not being able to see them. It's more trying to establish this culture, this class, and there's no real classroom environment right now. The only classroom they have is their kitchen or their bedroom or their basement, and so that was kind of tough. So trying to recreate the sort of classroom environment that I'm used to creating was a challenge. And I think these mantras here kind of help me stay grounded and help me realize what's important, and the fact that I'm not going to be able to recreate everything in the way that I absolutely want to. So here they are. The first one is to just be you. I think when we can be real, when we can be vulnerable as teachers and not necessarily have to be perfect, and have to record videos upon videos and always, if I mess up one thing, just go back and hit restart. I think that makes our lives a lot more stressful. And I think with the kids, with the students, sharing who you are and what you love and some of the things that you value and are interested in is really important. And having those conversations, I think, is really important. So because that opens you up, right? I think that establishes a level of trust that I think is important. So whether that's sharing gifs of your kids that you made, or memes that your students created about you, or even just polling the kids and getting them to engage, not necessarily in content, but in something. So I think that helps to create some moments of genuine connection, which I know Dave Stewart talks a lot about. And finding those moments of genuine connection, I think, start with you just kind of being real, being you. Whether that is, whether you participate in Spirit Days, right? Today's Disney Day. Doing things like that, I think, let the kids guard down. And even though they won't admit it right away, I think they really appreciate that. The next one for me is trying to be relevant and applicable from the skills that I'm teaching, and make those skills relevant and applicable to skills that students are going to use well past high school. So whenever I get an opportunity to share something going around social media, or give students an opportunity to share some of what they're learning and working on in social media, I think that's something that I think goes a long way, and it gets them out of their comfort zone, which is number one, which I think is great. And number two, they start to see how what we're doing in school transfers over into the real world, which some may argue isn't, what's on social media might not necessarily be real, but giving them a chance to engage in that, I think, is extremely valuable. So trying to be relevant. I know for some content areas, this might be a challenge. And I would encourage you to ask yourself, like, how can I make this relevant in our kids' lives? So rather than checking off the boxes, going through all the chapters in the curriculum, building that sort of connection to the real world, I think, is absolutely what we need to do here in distance learning. I think the kids find it meaningful as well. And then finally, I think the biggest mantra that I have this year is progress, not perfection. I'm not perfect. My students aren't perfect. So I think one of the things too that we need to keep in mind is if we want our students to learn and grow, built on this the way we make relationships with them and allow them to trust us. And that's this graphic down here is something that I got from the Avid website about building the community, which it was one of the things that I had a really hard time dealing with. And I think it's happening. It'll always continue to be happening, and I think that's a good thing. I think that's progress. And allowing our kids to see them make progress is important, and not necessarily having them always be perfect. So giving them a little bit more flexibility than what we're used to, giving them a little bit more grace, I think will eventually lead to this learning and growth. And I think one of the biggest things going through this whole ordeal, this whole pandemic, one of the most troubling things is to think about if we don't learn anything or our students don't learn anything as a result of this, that's probably going to be the most painful thing to think about as a teacher. So focusing on the progress and not the perfection, to me, is what we all need to be focusing on here this year. So those are my mantras. I hope you got at least a little morsel, a little nugget of encouragement. And I wish you a great year. I wish you the very best. And we will see you around the bend. Thank you.